Self out.
Why?
Oh.
Yeah, bro.
Well, ask Larry. He was right there. He saw it happen.
Oh.
I do
Yeah,
the same.
Sorry for the bump.
I just want to apologize early on. 2 huge desyncs and 2 rear ends.
Oh.
I think I hit 13. Yeah, early and 1.
Was that 113 at the start of the race?
No, the car 13. I hit it. I don't know if anybody else got good desyncs, but I got like huge.
Before we talk about the race, can we talk about the qualifying? Because there was some real
Yeah.
grade
Level
A
shit there.
bullshit going on in quali.
Grade A. Oh,
Shit
dear.
housery. Like, just tell me you don't listen to what I say.
Like, so if you are one of the slower drivers and you wait so long in the fucking pits that the faster guys are already coming to start, they actually are already on a flying lap, and then you go out and cause a massive queue in the final corner.
And that was shit fuck.
That was some, like, please be a little bit more aware where the fast guys are. If you wait very long in the pits, then if you look at the damn map.
Hmm.
And I'll point out another thing. I don't know if it happened because it's really hard to tell who was on a lap and who was not on a lap when there were like a billion cars in that mess. But while technically, if you come out from the pits in, like, let's say 4 seconds in front of a faster guy, and he just barely catches you at the line and you're just starting a valid lap, technically you could argue that, yes, I'm on a lap, I can block him now. But being technically right is not a very good thing when you should be doing the right thing and not getting in the way of someone.
Yeah.
So
1000%
the letter of
agree.
the, like, don't what I'm trying to say is don't lawyer the letter of the rules. Understand the spirit of the rules. The spirit of the rules is that if you are a slower driver, don't jump out from the pits in front of someone and ruin their quali. Be aware of what's happening. And if you wait very long before coming out from the pits, please do look at the map. Like,
Yeah.
please make certain you come out in a gap that's big enough. Or if you don't, then just, like, let everybody buy in a safe place before you start your laps.
I tailgated a few people who did that to me in quali, like, really egregiously. I literally drove up the back of them. Like, hey. I mean, because the theme of today's debrief is going to be situational awareness or lack thereof. Because I saw a lot of people in the race, like, just not paying attention. Not paying attention to anything around them except for maybe their own car.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can I make a comment?
You'll like the one I sent to Larry then.
yeah,
especially.
well, there'll be a list. Don't worry, there'll be a list. And that is something that I noticed in qualifying a lot, and then I noticed a lot in the race. There's some folks we're going to go over that they're new, so the description will be brutal, but I don't mean it to be mean. It's just I want to nip some of those things in the bud now because it's like their second race or first race, and so I just want them to know. But there are some of you who have been here since like 2021, and so I'm surprised to still see it. So, you know, don't break the glass slipper and call yourself out. But for some folks, like,
Yeah, can I make a comment real quick?
yo,
So like when you guys are qualifying, I try to put myself between guys I know I'm on pace with. So that's why it's important to like practice and hop so you can see like who's similar pace to you. Like I was behind Gustavo on my
Yeah,
out on my
nobody's the
flying
same
lap.
pace with you, though.
Nah, man, I was lucky.
No,
I'm just saying.
you are too fast for this. We'll let you be here for this season, but next season you have to go play with the big boys.
yes, you do.
Oh man.
Yes, you 100% do.
But I'm just saying, like, if you put yourself in a good gap with good driver, you know, drivers that are similar to you around you, you won't have these, you know, clusters at
Yeah,
choke points.
yeah, it's like that plus the pay attention to the big picture, right? Because a lot of people did do that, but then they just like completely ignored the environment of all the other cars around them. So they would drive out with somebody who was maybe in 25th and say, I found my buddy, and then they hooked up. That's great. But then there's like 3 cars screaming at them, and they're like, fuck them. And then they just sat there.
Well,
And I was like,
so in general, like, when you're in quali, it's a very good idea to be aware of where you stand in general, like, compared to the other guys. Like, if you know you're one of the slower guys, just maybe don't rush out to be the first out, because, I mean, while you technically are allowed to do it, there's nothing saying you can't do it. You're gonna make everybody mad, and you don't want to make people mad because they're gonna be assholes to you later on.
yeah.
So, like, wait maybe like 20 seconds. Don't wait like until everybody has already done one lap, because when you're coming out into the traffic that's already on a valid lap, that's very hard. Wait a little bit. Like, wait for most of them to go, like half of them or whatever, and then just go out. Anybody who waits longer than you are like if anybody waits more than half a lap, yeah, that's their own problem.
Yeah.
But you can wait like somewhere between, I would say, like 1/3 or to half a lap. Like, look at the map, you can see where the first car is going. When it's somewhere between, like, I would say 1/3 to half a lap done on the initial outlap of everybody in quali, then you can go if you know you're one of the slower drivers. That's what I do when either I know I'm one of the slower guys, or better if I'm like in a slower class car, because I don't want to be there. Like, I don't want to make everybody mad.
Right.
That will never do anything useful.
You know, I'm going to PSA this again. You know, the clinic video that I talked about how to qualifying, there's a section in the very end that talks about comedic reciprocity, right? Where if you screw me, I will remember that. And if you're clumsy, I will remember that. And like, yeah, I understand that some of it is just accidental. So it's not like I'm just going to stab you every single freaking time. But if I notice a trend, then I'm either going to be more aggressive with you, or I'm going to, like, you know, if you miss the apex, I'm just going to go right by you because we've already done this once before. Those things kind of come around and pay dividends. And it's the same thing with the fast guys. If you fuck up somebody, then they may not lift for you when they don't have to, like things like that. So if you're just a total dick to slow cars, they don't have to get out of your way in some places, and they just might not. They might just fuck you over just to let the faster guys catch up to you because you were an asshole. So you want to kind of play that balance here and there, because it typically will come back around.
Oh, yes.
The other thing is that you guys have 20 minutes to get your laps in. It doesn't mean that you should full send it on the first lap. Like, I saw some guys who took almost the whole 20 minutes to get one valid lap in. That's not great. Actually, that's pretty bad, because it means you'll have to, like, try to get the banker in early, because it takes the pressure off. Like, if you have a somewhat decent lap, you can full send it the rest of the quali, and if it goes badly, well, who cares? You already have a lap. But if you don't have any lap and there is 4 minutes to go, that's terrible.
The other thing I would also recommend too is use the hot pit lane when you were trying to save time. So there were a couple times where, like, I got up with someone super slow on a hot lap, and there's just nothing I'm going to do. They're way too slow. So in order to give myself an artificial gap, I just pulled into the hot pit lane and drove through the pit lane. I still get warm tires. I still get, I lose minimal time. I don't have to do another completely from zero on cold tires outlap again. And so, I have to forfeit the lap that I'm on, but it saves me net time. And I'm trying to save as much time as I can. So if I can not RTG and just finish the lap and do a little run through the pits, it can put me out sometimes into a better gap than what I had when I initially came out.
You do want to consider though that I would say in a 20-minute quali, you would probably want to do 3 runs with different tire sets, because tire degradation is a real thing. I mean, if you like, anybody who's faster than Davin probably has to consider it. If you're significantly slower, do whatever. It's all in the driver. But even in a 10-minute quali, I do 2 runs, because the tire deg is a real thing. I mean, I might do 1 run. Depends a little bit how the first laps go and like what's the traffic like. Because obviously, if you do if in a 10-minute quali, the 2 minutes you lose by resetting and taking new tires is quite big, right?
Exactly. One of the things that I would say as well is pay attention to the track and temperature and conditions. For example, right at the beginning it was fast, not optimum. For example, I noticed everyone jumping on the track right away, and I just stayed in the pits waiting the track. Like, I
You
waited
guys
for
always
2
do
minutes.
that. You guys always do that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I just waited 2 minutes, and then it got optimum, and then I just found the perfect gap to get out of the track.
And like, I don't know why. Like, I was talking to somebody earlier this week, and they brought this thing to my attention that sometimes the rookies don't change their behavior unless there's a punishment, which frankly I think is fucking silly. But sometimes, like, we'll give you tips like, hey, don't go out in a big ass group. You're 25 cars all together. It's impossible to do a lap in a giant field of 25 all as one group. And you guys go, okay. And then the next session, you just do the exact same thing. So, if that's fun and you like qualifying in the back, then continue. But if you don't want to do that, give yourself space. It's a thing. All right, Larry, how many do we have?
Many.
Okay. There's one thing I do want to talk about real briefly before we kind of get rolling on these. And Will, I'm only bringing this up for you because you're new, and this is not to make you feel bad or anything. You did it a few times when I saw you, and it's a really good example of kind of what not to do in these situations. So I want you to just keep this in your mind for future races and everybody else for future races. So we're going to talk about our blue flag rules. And so, Larry, if there are lots of blue flag commentary in some of the notes, if they're similar to this discussion here, we're probably going to skip them because it's going to be a similar theme multiple times. But, our rules are GT rules. So that means that you don't need to jump out of the way and get offline when a faster car is coming through. I saw a couple of folks doing that, and that actually makes things a bit of a challenge because the faster car is ready to set up offline and you are jumping in the way. So that is one thing. You should just stay online and let the fast car do all the work. You are not helping by getting out of the way. You are actually getting in the way. The second thing, though, is if you are a blue flag car, you should not be fighting cars into corners. You are a lap down already. Cars have driven all the way around the racetrack and have caught you in some capacity. So, especially when you are alone by yourself, if a leader or a car on the lead lap is coming up on you or any bigger number than the number that you are at, showing that they are a lap ahead of you, you shouldn't really be like fighting them into the corner or not really giving up, like especially on straights that are long enough that you could concede easily and then let those cars just go by. So the only reason I bring this up is, I came across a couple of cars that are very similar to this, where we leave a corner like turn 11. The straight is more than long enough for anyone to lift. We're in a battle of 5th, 6th, and 7th, and this car is nowhere near that, 27th, right? So not even in the same race. And we're drag racing down into the next corner. I'm trying to give a polite, like, hey, this would be a great time for you to, hey. And then when we jump on the brakes, it's really, 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 really early, which is probably because of just driver skill. That's okay. But the thing that I would like to bring to folks' attention is when lead cars are coming and you are alone, please be aware of those cars and don't try to like fight them into the corner. Give up a little early just so they can get to you and get by and you're not having to finagle with them, right? It's not just Will that I saw this. It's just, I saw this the most here.
I just want to point out that it is not just because you shouldn't affect the lead car's race, but it's also because you lose less by doing that. So here's the thing. Anytime two cars are going through a corner side by side, both of them are losing a lot of time. If at the end of the sequence you're anyway going to be behind the faster car, anything you do that slows down the faster car means you lose even more time. Because you cannot be anywhere else except behind them. So the faster they can go through the corner, the faster you can go through the corner as well. So giving up that little bit of time on the straight to make certain they get the ideal line to the corner, and you also get behind them to take the ideal line, means both of you lose less time.
Right.
And that's the thing people don't understand, and that's the thing why I win multi-class races in the slower class cars, because I know how to manage the faster traffic. I know how to make certain they overtake me before the corner so I can take the ideal line behind them and carry my speed through.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's an example, and I just want to bring this up for the opposite side of, I hear myself in an echo somewhere. Is that me?
I believe it's Raphael.
Okay. Hey, Raphael, could you maybe mute yourself? Because I can hear myself, so it's coming through some external speaker.
I'm sorry. I understand what you're saying. I took it off push to talk. Let me close that.
Perfect. Thank you, man. Yeah, because I can hear me through you.
No, I understand.
He's listening
my
through
ears were
speakers.
bothering the shit out of me on the what do you call it? The VR.
Oh,
so
good,
I
man.
put it on the speaker.
Oh, good, man. Oh, good.
That should do it, right?
That's it.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, man. Okay, so this is the other example of a blue flag situation where two cars are lapped down, but they are battling together. So this battle is in 23rd and 22nd. They are clearly in a battle, like less than a second, fighting each other. I have to fuck off and wait, right? I can't expect this guy to lift for me. I can't expect this guy to dial out of this battle for me. I have to wait for an adequate time for him to either make a mistake or voluntarily decide to let me go by. Now, there is a strategic advantage to letting faster cars go by in certain places of the track when you are in a battle like this, like when you're more fighting Greg. And the reason is the faster car is a better driver than you. So they will disrupt your opponent in the battle that you are in quickly, giving you more opportunities to do things, right? Because I drove all the way around the racetrack to find these people. I don't care how they got here, but they're here now, right? And I'm going to be going through them at some point during the course of the race. I'm not going to be stuck back here. So it's only going to cause more stress because I'm not going away and I'm not slowing down. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. He could try to pass and make that pain go the other way, but then Greg could say, hey, fuck it, Davin, go do this for me. I don't want to deal with this. And I'll be like, thank you, sir. Right? And happily attack the car in front because I'm trying to make my way up to the cars ahead. So, albeit that the leaders have to show respect to the battles that are happening in front of them and not bulldoze cars out of the way, situational awareness again, right? How do we use every tool to our advantage in order to get as far up the field as possible, right? So when a car is coming in 6th and you are in 23rd, it may be useful to use that car to its own advantage to help yourself. Does that make sense?
The only thing I would add is that it's pretty situational as well. Like if you're already side by side with the other guy, then the leader can just like fucking wait.
Right.
But if I've been on his tail for the last 10 laps, and I'm definitely faster, but I can't figure out how to get by, then I might just try to use the leader, because like that leader might pry the door open and I can maybe stick my nose in there as well.
Right. And then the final piece I want to just bring up to this is the difference between Greg and the difference between the car in front of Greg. So a few laps later, I got through this because the Lexus made a mistake. So I drove by that. And then I got to Greg. And Greg on the straight just said, hey, man, I don't need you up my ass for the rest of this race. Because if I hold you up, my opponent, my actual opponent on the same lap as me, will catch me. And then when you do finally get by, which you will, he'll be really, really close to me, and that sucks. So he lifted early on the straight here, just a small lift, it's not even a big thing, just so I can just whoop, whoop, and Bob's your uncle, right? Super easy, super clean. He lost minimal amount of time. I move on about my way, and I remember that for future races. So if there is a situation where I see Greg and somebody else in a battle, and I have a way to give Greg an opportunity, I'm going to help him. Because I'm going to be like, hey, man, he was paying attention. Like, go, Greg, go. Right? Folks remember stuff like that. If Greg had drag raced me all the way down the straight for absolutely no reason, I'm going to bully the living shit out of him when we get through the next section of quarters, because I'm like, why are you doing this? You've got no one in front of you. You're not in the same race as me. Don't think of the big picture. You're not going to win. You're not fighting. We're not fighting. We're just two cars driving. I'm losing and you're losing. Sucks. That's my PSA on blue flags. There's going to be a lot of those across rookies, and I totally understand that it's incidental and people are figuring out their lives and everything. So I'm not saying you're the shittiest driver in the whole world, but the more you can look at the big picture in these things, how do I lose as little time as possible to get to the finish line as quickly as possible? The better off you'll be. All right, Larry, let's get this drill started.
Okie dokie. Let's see. We are going to go to car 16. Rookie, damn it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Fagan. It says the last two are my car, and the first one I want to know what happened drifting and parting the Red Sea. Let's start with 701.
Yeah.
Which
701 is I want to know what happened.
Okay.
I think this is like lap one, and I know I was like, I don't know if I brake checked myself and caused the issue, or if it was just something different.
Okay.
No, I think this is the one that was saying. I think this is me. That's when I desync.
Notice how he, probably
Yeah,
did.
for sure. Yeah, 'cause it was like complete desync. That was not intentional.
Did you just like not see cars slow down and then you?
Oh no, it was like just screen kept on just blurring. Just
okay.
Like I lost connection.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, I mean, you're not making the corners even if there are no cars there, though. So
yeah, there's that too.
Like you're not on the racing line and you're braking very late. So
Yeah.
less than ideal.
I will say, so in situations like that, like whenever I have a connection issue or just any sort of lack of visibility, the first thing I do is go to the racing line and slow down a little early, because like I don't know digitally where all the cars are going to be, but I know that if I'm in the right place, then there's a better chance I'm not going to hit something when things come back to normal. So, here would be a great place to be like, oh, hey, I'm desyncing. Let me get on the racing line, come to a slower stop. I mean, you're 29th. There's only 2 cars around you. So it should be pretty easy to not get close into this sort of stuff. But just something to keep in mind for the future.
Yeah, and there was another one that happened a minute later. So, and then it was fine the rest of the race.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
All right, so let's go to Cody had a problem, and we are at car 13 and 19.
Okay.
Time of 8:55. I think this might be the same thing. Car 19 didn't brake enough and slammed into my rear. So
Yeah, same
Cody.
thing.
Okay,
That's the other one.
Okay.
Same piece thing.
If somebody wants to do me a favor while we're going through this list, there's a section where I caught Cody like really early on, while we were going up into turn 6. That is a good example of like why you want to be situationally aware with the cars kind of around you. And I have to guess to remember where it is, but like, Cody, as you're kind of figuring your life out, you were really, really slow early up. And so when we came out of 5 and 6, like I almost ran in the back of you because you were like braking up the straight as we were going up the hill. And so that is a thing. But the point I want to bring up is, if you're aware of the drivers you're around as you're racing, then you'll be more likely to adjust for them ahead of time to strategically give yourself a better advantage. Because like when I got around to you again the second time, Cody, I just pit because I lost 2.48 seconds in that one altercation with you, and it just wasn't worth it while I was trying to figure out the rest of the race. So the next time I saw your purple car, I was just like, I'm not doing this again, and just went into the pits instead because it wasn't worth the time loss. The investment wasn't worth it. So if anyone finds it, I'd appreciate it, but I'm not going to dig around to find it.
I sent to Larry 2 moments. I don't want to put the throw Cody under the bus, but what I would say is Cody was, I believe, trying to help, but I almost hit him twice when I was lapping him because he was like getting out of the lane and also slowing down. So like I'm getting ready to overtake him, and that's pretty much the same thing that you're just discussing about.
Yeah. No, but it's important to bring this up, and not to throw Cody under the bus. You're 100% right. It's just like when we say
Larry has the times if you want to, I can tell you right away.
Okay, yeah, because I'm looking for this one with Cody, but I have to dance around. I want to say it was early in the race, but like the lap times all run together for me after a while.
You can go on a car 21 at 22 minutes.
Okay. Car 21.
That's the first one, and then it happens again.
Okay. 22. Oh yeah,
yep.
Here we are.
Right on the next turn. And then I believe the next one is going to be 42.20. So right over here on the next turn. It kind of opens and like, okay.
Oh.
And
yeah.
And then if you go on the 42.20, that one was a nice straight. So it's pretty much again, Cody, I know that he's playing on the remote, which makes everything harder.
Yeah.
But like if it's what Devin mentioned multiple times, if we're being predictable is a lot easier for someone who's lapping. And then because we both I could have hit him like because
this is what happened to me.
On the throttle.
This is what happened to me. It was here. Similar place, similar corner. It was going up into the end, so we were at a higher speed.
So for context, the last time Cody went through this part, he crashed because he drove a really terrible line. Like I can understand why he's lifting here because he's trying not to crash again.
Right, and my point here wasn't so much to throw Cody under the bus as is to identify the skill level of drivers as you approach them. Because who was it? Brian and I were in a battle together when it happened, and so he's tailing me, and I see Cody as he's coming, and I'm not gonna go full attack speed at Cody with someone right behind me because I don't know where Cody's gonna brake, like at all. And that's okay. He's figuring it out. We're all figuring it out. But I also need to not wreck my car. So I have to like either have the brake covered or be in the middle of the road and tell Brian like, hey man, can we just like get through this basically little micro disaster before we go back to battling each other, because he could snap, he could break, I could rear end him. I don't know. And if you try to attack me right now, it's going to get really bad. So let's just let that go. And then you can attack me as soon as we're through. I promise. All right. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, everyone's got different skill levels. Everyone's on different journeys. Everyone's got different hardware. So, being slow is a thing. We were all slow once. I don't really care how fast you are. But, especially the guys who have a big jump in speed over those who are slower, it's still not okay to just completely obliterate them when you've got an issue coming up. So how do you mitigate that issue as best you can, right? On both sides, the person who is slow, but also the person who is wicked fast, so you don't just kill them. All right, Larry, next.
Quick thing. Larry, you missed one of mine, but it's the last one that you could do from your car. And it's just a life lesson for everybody of what not to do again.
Larry, it's your call. Larry, it's your call if you want to do it.
Yeah. So I was trying to be selective because I've got 40,
go ahead then.
40
you can do that last.
different ones here.
Yeah.
Richie has one that he saw, car 25, 6723. He says it's a bad dive.
Okay, 6723. All right, let's go a little bit ahead. Let's pull up here. Okay. Please don't go. Oh no.
Oh well.
Yeah. Okay. So let's Willie, are you here? Is it William?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Walk me through this first.
I mean, I missed my breaking point, which I know. The 2 laps earlier there was like an incident here, so I was trying to get a move done.
Okay.
Before, and make sure I was alongside.
Okay.
Before he turned across again.
Okay.
And I saw him have a little wobble and then brake a bit early, so I thought maybe I could have the move on. And then as soon as I braked, I knew that it was too late. To,
Yeah. Okay.
I
okay.
knew straight away, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I go free cam and show the distance between the cars?
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know where you're starting. I just was trying to be nice.
Unless he braked about 5 miles too early, you're not gonna do anything from this distance. Don't even try.
Right.
You need to be on the bumper, or more likely, slightly, your nose needs to be just alongside to actually outbrake someone who is of similar skill level. Now, yes, if we are talking about the fastest guy in the lobby and the slowest guy in the lobby, this might work. But generally speaking, this is just way too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just being impatient, and the moment that I made the move, I knew that I made a mistake on it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's good that you recognize that, right? Because faster guys have this problem a lot. They don't recognize the difference between behind and alongside, and they don't understand that approaching momentum does not guarantee overlap and right to room if you're not already having that overlap when the thing starts, right? Overtaking is a communication between two drivers, the driver passing and the driver being passed. So both cars need to be aware enough to be like, hey man, we need to negotiate this side by side without killing each other. And you go, oh, okay. And then that's why that overlap prior to the turn-in point is so important, because it gives both cars visible range to say, hey, can we fit through this tiny slot? I'll go over here and you'll go over there. Where if you are making a move from so far back, this guy is only looking ahead of himself. He has no idea that you're here. He has no needs to make any adjustments for you or change. And I know you know this. I'm just saying this for the group, right? Because we see a lot of dives like this where people say, I thought I could beat him before he turns in. That's not... You don't want to do it from a million miles away. Beating him before he turns in means pulling up alongside him before you both turn in. Not when he turns in, trying to beat him to the apex once his car is already committed. Physics doesn't allow him to change direction once he turns, so you're just going to hit him. So,
also, keep in mind, outbraking someone in cars that have perfectly fine race ABS is kind of not a thing.
Right.
Unless you followed someone for a couple of laps and you know that they always brake a little bit too early for a specific corner, there is no way you're gonna outbrake someone. Not even from being on their rear quarter panel, you're not gonna outbrake them because your corner is gonna be tighter than theirs, so they can brake later.
Especially when they're on the racing line, right? Especially when they're on the racing line.
Trying to outbrake someone should be your your last ditch, like the move you do when you're on the final lap and you just really need to get past this guy to get the points home or whatever. But it shouldn't be like the go-to attack. The go-to attack should be beat them on the exit.
Right. Yep. Yep. And if that means a run from the corner that you're in to get alongside them into the next one, great. Right. If that means getting a run with them so that you're alongside them, great. But like overtake shouldn't really be a surprise. Right. I was thinking of one example that I made a mental note when I was racing Brian. Let me find it real quick. I know I have to click around because I don't have my own timestamp. But we were battling here for just a little bit, and he made a mistake going into 12. The corners before, he missed this apex in 11 really badly. And so I was able to pull up alongside him like 2 or 3 times. And so it told me like either A, he's going too fast, or B, he doesn't know where the apex is for that corner. So I have an opportunity here. However, I need to keep him positioned off the line so that if he outbrakes himself and doesn't brake early enough, I have a chance. So he'll overspeed the corner. We played this game for about 2 laps where I made a run up on him and then I braked a little early and just watched his car. And all I was doing is observing, is this driver aware enough to know where to slow down? Does he cover the apex or does he blow the corner? 2 laps in a row, he blew the corner. So the 3rd lap, I'm like, he's probably going to do the same thing.
I have a really good example for getting a run on exit.
Okay.
From yesterday, I'll show it after we've done the debrief. For whoever stays it long.
Right? So, and that's set up back here. Because you go, okay, well, let's watch his car. He's not on the racing line, so we know this. So as he brakes, as he slows down, if he goes to cover the apex, I won't do a single thing after that. Because he's in front of me. What I'm going to do, hit him. But the moment he goes straight, I'm planning for this outside line. So the moment that he does this and is still trying to turn, right, you're thinking in your head like, hey, there's a huge opportunity here. He's turning a lot and will be extremely slow. I can't squeeze him, like I can't hit him, but I can squeeze him. He's missed the apex in the middle of nowhere.
Listen to the throttle blip to get the ass end around.
Right. And you just get the car rotated and then you get to the outside lane. And then I jumped on the throttle just to give his car room because, you know, he's in my blind spot. I'm not sure if I run him off the road here, he's going to hit me. And then it undoes all the work I did. So I put my car in his visual range to say, hey, man, I'm here. He can see me now. And so now the two of us have to negotiate together. He can't just drive right into the side of my car because he can visibly see me. Right. And that was set up 2 corners before in order to put myself in the right position, but also not squeeze my opponent. All I need is a run because the next corner goes my way. Right? I'm not really trying to pass him here. It's just I'm trying to be opportunistic because the next corner is a right-hand turn. So I got him covered.
Let me ask you something. Previously, before the 2 turns before,
yeah,
did you change your racing line or that was your racing line?
No, I changed it. No, I 100% changed it. Oh, no, I 100% changed it. Because when we would go through here before, he would miss the apex a few times. See? This is a lot prior. Mm-hmm. Just way out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, huh, that's weird. And then we came through again. And I was like, okay, a little bit off, but like, okay, that's fine, that's fine. And so it happened 2 or 3 times where I was like, there's an opportunity for me to really see a thing to work. Like it started here, and then it moved itself gradually more and more out. And I was like, man, if he misses his corner by a lot this time, I can be next to him. And if he doesn't cover himself, I'll have a chance. If he covers, nothing for me to do. But if he doesn't cover, I got an opportunity. Right? That's how you set things up several corners in advance. Right? I'm not trying to just dive him in one turn and get the whole move done in one move. I'm trying to find out where on the track I have absolute advantage, which is going into the hairpin. And then let him make his own mistake on his own and just observe whatever he does. And then use the available space left while being in his visual range. That's how you pass cars without killing yourself.
And that's why when you watch Formula One, it's not the exact same thing.
Right. Yeah. That's why people get frustrated. But they're also, their rules are different, right? Like when it comes to the overlap and where you need to have it. But, you know, that's why people get frustrated when you see someone just sitting it up to the inside up someone's blind spot and they can't see and now they can't turn. Right? They, like the old school Verstappen move where he would just throw it down the inside and it's like we either crash or you let me go. Right? Like that.
Also, you have to in Formula One, you have to take into account that many of the moves where you see someone just send it on the inside are also like the other guy just concedes because they're like, okay, I don't need this fight. I don't need the risk. Whatever, we'll play it on the strategy or whatever. There's so little actual like competitive hard racing between two equal drivers and cars going on in F1. It's very rare to see that. So a lot of the moves are like, yeah, he sent it on the inside, but did the other guy even try to fight it?
Right. And Larry, I'm being mindful of time, so I know we're not trying to go forever, but the reason why I bring this up is it's because of the math, right? The more time we spend side by side fighting each other, the farther away the opponents get in front of us, and the more likely our opponents behind us will catch us. So we eat up overall more race time, basically dicking around. Right? So when you see someone that's just attacking you, they might as well just be going half a second. And the other cars are just driving away because I'm not going to just let you attack me and pass me. I'm going to have to defend something, which means that you are compromising both cars. Right? Zach, I know we'll get to you in a minute, but like the amount of attacking you did on me destroyed our gap to the leaders. Because I'm not going to just let you pass me, right? So and after a while, the gap got so big, I just started slowing down and just covered the apex a lot because I'm like, well, fuck, dude, we're not going to catch the leaders now. They're gone. So I'm going to make this as painful as possible for this guy because, shit, I have no one else to race.
That was kind of what I did at the beginning of the race. I just turned my traction control up and tried to keep space for the leader and follow him as close as possible, but without losing time, so we could open the gap to the other guys.
Yep. The last thing I'll put on this is, if you think about it, if you took the fastest lap time of the race times the number or divided by the duration of the race, you basically have the minimum number of laps that it'll take to finish the race. Anything else you do will make that race distance longer. So anytime you're offline or basically just driving crappy, because when you're driving too wide with people, you're driving a suboptimal line. You would never take that line alone. You're adding to your overall race time all the time. That's why when you watch high level drivers, they dick into a line, right? And they all pair up and they're all in one long drafting line because they know that if they're too wide, they'll lose 2/10. And that's going to compound over the course of the race. They don't want to do that. So they watch a Formula Ford race. They all sync up. And you don't want to be the lead car in the last lap because that car is going to get drafted and get swallowed by everybody else. But everyone's trying to minimize the overall race time all the way to the end. It's not as much about the positions as it is about the overall time. Because if the leaders...
It's also sometimes about the positions, because if the battle is more than two cars, if you're if you're the second in the queue and you're attacking overly aggressively the first car, you're constantly giving opportunities to the next guy in the line to either get by both of you or just you. And obviously the leader, like anybody who is front of the car in front of you, is pulling away the whole time. Like my races yesterday, I was just hoping the guy in front would go fast so we could pull a gap to the guy behind me and then we can fight.
Yeah.
Like half the race I was just trying to let him drive fast, not attacking, sometimes bump drafting on the straights, because all I wanted was to pull enough of a gap that when I start attacking, I have some buffer before I'm at risk from behind again.
So, to put a stop on it, because I know we'll go forever, just think about the time you're investing when you make these attacks, because you will lose net more. If the move's not clear and done, most of the time you're just throwing away time. So unless there is a opportunistic advantage or there's a situational thing where it just makes a lot of sense to make this happen, be considerate of how you plan your attacks and make sure your attacks are definitive, because every attack is a time investment. And if you get it wrong, you just threw that time out the window. You can't get it back. All right, Larry, next.
Car 29, 3514. It's lap 18, and it says one weird happenings in the pit lane.
3514. Oh yeah, this is fun. Oh, why you do this? Why you speed up? Why your limiter no on? Why?
Gave himself a penalty for sure.
Yeah, but why? Pit lane speed. Did you hit the button? I mean, you hit the button.
Yeah, I hit the button.
You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the button. You hit the b Is Rick here?
No, that's me.
Yeah.
That's Greg.
Did you hit the
Yeah.
button? Yeah, Greg, did you hit the button?
No, I was trying to do. I was working my MFD, and I was trying to turn off. I didn't want to fix damage.
Oh, and you flicked the pit limiter switch.
And I flicked the switch
Oh!
as I was driving, and I was watching the pit limiter, and I had my. All of a sudden, I heard the engine rev, and I was like, "Well, too late now."
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. Oh my god. Yeah, that's so lame. Oh, boo. Okay. Also,
Yeah, that menu sucks so bad.
well, so all right. So it does suck, but also it sucks. So that's why you practice with it, right? Like knowing how the functions of the controls work is important. And so, real quick story, Larry, you got to keep me on time here. I remember once for Indianapolis, I fucked up a race in the pits I could have won. I was so pissed off about it. The next day, I literally sat all day just going through every single menu in the car, flicking them on and off, seeing how they worked, and revamping my wheel. Like every single menu, every single fucking one. And I went around and did laps and like pushed the buttons, and all I was doing was menu checks. I don't think I put in a single valid lap for like the entire session I was there, but it was just to know what every single button did and test them and use them. And then that way I don't have those mistakes again. A lot of you guys don't do that. A lot of you guys just drive around and then you find yourself in the situation when you've never encountered this menu before. And like, for example, did you know that you can change the pressure of all 4 tires as a set at once, not individually?
I did not.
You can do that.
It says change PSI.
Yep, you can do that, right? So taking the time to like push every button is like not in a race will be super, super useful for you because I have found seconds of lap time just like turning off damage prematurely, getting the tires properly set, blah, blah, switching the reins on the fly, yada, 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 that have really, really helped me. And it's because I know what all the buttons do. So know what all the buttons do.
Okay. Car 34, 5815. And then, unfortunately, it says bad.
Okay, one other thing, though, before we go to that real quick. I just wanted to talk about the importance of a pit stop because this pit stop was the difference between finishing, I think, in 4th, I think is where I finished, and 5th. But by the time we got to the end of the pit lane line, this is still part of the racing surface, folks. So you still want to race people as they come out of the pits. And we were pretty much, like, we were in each other a little bit, but it was basically who hit the button first on the way out of the pits determined that battle, because then we got stuck in the battle for like the rest of the time all the way to the end. So when we talk about the importance of like a clean pit stop, practicing in the pits, knowing how the stops work, knowing where your buttons mapped, making sure your buttons aren't mapped into things that you can finger fuck yourself, you want to make sure that you have all those things clearly defined, because this was a position I gained by being able to be savvy on the button, right? You want those advantages. It's free performance. It's automatically free. All right.
Ilpo, what's the rule for letting off the pit limiter? Is it front wheels across the line?
I think it is. I think it's front wheels across the line.
Yeah, because I've seen it to where it's like when you go across the line, if you were speeding, that it comes up immediately.
But the MFD
you
also
don't have to wait for the entire car.
But the MFD also automatically changes when it's available. It goes from the full data screen with all this information, and it condenses. So you can also just time it for when the menu disappears, hit the button.
Yeah, okay.
And that's easy. That's what I did. I literally put the menu over Zach's car as we were on the straight, and as soon as it went down, I pushed the button. I didn't even give a fuck where he was. I was just like, you're covered. I'm not looking at you. Go. And then stayed on the throttle. Okay, so
5815 in car 34.
Okay, 5815. In car 34. Where are you? Ah, okay. Alright, here's someone.
Can you go back?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. I know exactly what this was. Okay. So, yeah. All right, let's go back before, because I was behind this car. Yeah. Okay. So they missed the corner here, but they were also unnecessarily tight. All they had to do, like, they gave up way too much lap time for no reason.
Well, yeah, but also, like, can we look at it from the car in front's perspective?
Yeah.
Because this is something that will get you killed. Like, literally, you will get run over. So, when, like, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get off the line and let the cars by. But by doing that, if somebody was on your bumper, they would kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that car, the faster car, would already be trying to take the inside line because they expect you to take the normal racing line.
Mm-hmm.
Do not lift on the exit of a corner to get off the line to let the faster car by.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most dangerous thing you can do. It
Mm-hmm.
will get you killed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I remember...
Just drive the normal racing line at full speed and then lift on the straight once you've done all the cornering stuff.
Well, and I remember when I came around and I saw this car, I was like, where are you going? And so when we got here, I was like, is he going into the pits? And no. And now he's so far over, I'm like, okay, so just as a PSA for everybody who ever wants to pay attention to racing ever, this is the scariest thing in the world for me to see as a driver, because there's a couple things. A, I don't know if this person's going to lift for me. So he's on the worst line in the marbles, which means if he decides to floor it all the way down, even if I adjust and get ready, he's going to be a fucking disaster when we get to the end. So I'm worried about that right now. It's terrible. Two, if if there's a car behind me trying to make a move or trying to get over, this is where the fast car overtaking space is supposed to be. So if we were too deep, which the car up front has no idea about, they're going to get run the fuck over. And they have no idea. If they had stayed on the racing line, then they would have their safety space where we would all have to negotiate for them because they're, basically in the right lane and we just drive right by. But now they're in the danger zone, right? So if Zach decides, hey, fuck Davin, I'm going, and pops right to attack me, he would just right in the back of this slow moving car who's in the absolutely wrong space. So don't help me. I drove all the way around the racetrack. I know what I'm doing. Let me drive my car. Don't help me, because don't help me like this, right? Help me by staying on the line and just kind of yielding a little. And I have enough skill, and the car behind me has enough skill to observe that you are moving slow in the most predictable place on the racetrack. And we will go, oh, and we will instinctively go around you. But here,
I can show you a perfect example of this, how to do it correctly.
Okay, yeah.
My car, lap 37.
Okay.
On this corner.
Oh, okay. Mr. Foster, lap 37. Is at the very end here. Boop, boop, boop.
I think Joseph starts to come up behind me.
Where are you, Joseph?
And he rolls right past me. It might be just a little earlier than that. But either way, Joseph comes up behind me at about mid-track in the second sector. And as he gets behind me, as I'm coming out of the last corner, I'm full throttle all the way up to the top of the hill. And then I started to roll out, and I double shifted up into 6th gear.
Okay.
And he just rolls right by me.
Yeah, okay. So let's see. You were coming out of, where are you now? You're coming out of 11.
That's heading towards the chicane.
And Joseph is, okay, so he's already passed you here. And he's already ahead of you. And where are you now? Okay, so that's 6. So it's 11, and this is the chicane. So he's already ahead of you again. We're going to go back multiple.
It may have been slightly earlier.
No,
maybe
it's fine. I'm just
it's
looking.
Not far.
Yeah, I'm just looking where you are and where he is. So he's in the final corner. You are in the chicane. So nope. Let's try here.
It's got to be a lap before because I saw Eric.
Yeah, exactly.
He was right behind me.
So now you're in the final corner again, right? This is coming on the main straight, so it can't be here. Passing the car there. That's good. Let's see. Okay. So there you are. Okay, so we're getting closer. So
it was the lap before.
Yeah, it
was on the last corner.
Must be.
It was perfect.
There we are. So it was.
I timed it that way.
Lap 30.
Start from the chicane.
Okay.
See my terrible driving.
No, I want to show you how it's supposed to be done. I saw him coming. I saw the time dropping. Lap after lap after lap because I was struggling just a little bit. But at this point, I'm like, he is on my ass. I know exactly what I'm doing. Make the corner well. He starts getting closer. And he's getting closer with the draft. I am flat out here. I am on the throttle. I get to here. I start to lift, and I upshift.
Perfect. Beautiful.
And he just rolled right
Beautiful.
by.
You were
I
invited
didn't
to the
lose
cookout.
much time at all.
Right.
So let's watch the throttle and everything from the chicane back.
You were invited to the cookout with that driver. Right, because that's situational awareness. I'm 18th and the leader is coming. Holy fuck! I should do something about this.
Oh, I was watching from 2 laps back. He was gaining a second and a half on a lap.
You can hear him.
Watch me shift. Car's dying. I'm still full throttle.
Yep.
And then I get in behind him, and it's like, here comes the draft.
Yeah, exactly. Very minimal time loss. Beautiful, right? That's how that's supposed to be done, right? Larry helped by not moving off the line, right? That's how you get out of the way. Everything else we talk about, you're getting in the fucking way. And I'm only trying to be blunt, but
I think I did it again for Gustavo. But was it in the same corner?
I think it was. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whenever I see cars that are
next lap or the lap after.
Whenever I see cars jumping off the line, I think either 3 things. 1, you've been running with other leagues and not thinking about that you come to our league and these are our rules. 2, you aren't listening to me. Or 3, see number 2. Right? Try to just stay on the line. Right? Offline is for people who know where to go. Online is for people who don't know where to go. Stay on the line. I'm going to say this a couple more times this year, so I know, but stop it.
See if you can find the next one with Gustavo. It's like another lap and a half, 2 laps later.
Okay. Well, I mean, his race didn't go much farther after
that. His
lap didn't get much farther after that. So
yeah,
probably
that one is another mode.
Wait, was he facing backwards?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
so we'll get to that.
I'm
not digging around for it. I'm not going to dig around for it. Can we do Gustavo because we're here? Because something happened to him, so I want to know.
Oh yes, I made a very huge mistake.
Okay,
so that's a lesson for everyone.
Yeah, we're here now, so shit, we're skipping the line.
Just go straight. Just keep going. Yeah.
Oh, I know where you stopped.
Guys, this boat, so like under the last turn, is something that you should never do in the rest of your life. So lesson learned. So here it comes. So look, there's Pablo behind me. If I'm not wrong, I got a shoot at it. It's flying by. I tried to. Whoops. I don't know why. I saw the car.
The second one, I don't understand.
Yeah. Exactly. I saw a car in the middle of the track. I said, I tried to push him a little bit.
Yeah.
Who's up against the wall on the right-hand side?
I don't know why someone was in there. It's one of those decisions that you make for a fraction of a second.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I didn't ruin his race because that's the way I'll make.
Oh, so there's where my breaking point went.
Yeah, who's this though? Sorry, I gotta
Sorry about that, folks. So lesson learned, guys.
Who's hanging out here?
Good job, guys.
It's better. It's better before than MDA, not finishing the race.
Well, and also like Gustavo, my man, like a podium is gone now, and I'm sad for you. Like, because you could have kept battling him. Like it's Will. Okay. Even if you
no, that's another thing. Did anyone else got flat tires? I got flat tires twice. On the first stint, I changed tires because I thought, that was a curve that I went off.
Yeah.
Both of my right tires.
Were you dropping tires all the time? Yes.
No.
Yes.
It's Gustavo. Why did you ask that question?
I know. I did the leading question.
I'm guessing there's 2 corners where I can see the right side's losing pressure if you cut too much. Oh well.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but I don't get it usually because I don't slide my car as much.
Right.
Like the reason you get so the most common reason for pressure loss is not necessarily cutting a curb. The problem is when you slide the car so that the tire hits the curb sideways from the side of the grass, because the edge of the curb on that side is very kind of like abrupt. Like there's no angle to it. It's just like a straight up wall, which pushes the tire off the rim. Yep. So a bunch of air comes out before it sits back on. And the game does simulate that. Aris has mentioned it, and you can very clearly find it in some corners. Like turn 1 at Silverstone is infamous for it. So you can cut massively, but you have to make certain you're not sliding the car when you're doing the cut, because if you're sliding the car, the probability of losing pressure is massively higher.
So
the same goes for front tires, especially if you are steering very aggressively, because that means even when the car is not sliding, if you have a lot of lock-in, the front tires are sliding slightly sideways, because that's how they generate the force to turn the car.
Mm-hmm. So, Gustavo, I have a homework assignment for you for the rest of the season.
Don't get involved in
No, finish races. Right? The last 3 races I've been with you, your car has been wrecked in some way when you're in a really good position.
That's why I'm the rookies and I didn't join the Tuesday race.
Gustavo, you have been racing with me for almost 3 years. Finish races. Get to the end.
If I can step on my controller, completely screw myself, have to go back to the pit for like a 2-3 minute pit stop and still finish the race, you can finish the race after you wreck.
Gustavo.
Yeah. No, that's the funny thing. I was about to finish this one, but I hit the wall and then like.
I know. I'm just teasing you because of the way you said that. Like I was gonna finish it, but then I fucking wrecked myself. No,
I get it. But it's true.
Yep. The other thing is, again, this is more for everyone else, a little bit for Gustavo, but mostly for the rest of the group. Think about the big picture, and when I mean that, I mean the race, the championship, the driving, just developing as a driver. This individual altercation, in the grand scheme of things, as being a better driver, does not fucking matter at all, right? By squeezing the cars around you too, you're also just like not giving yourself the opportunity to see how you'll overcome the challenge later in the race. So your move, Gustavo, although you may not have meant it to, was pretty desperate. And you're losing a lot of time also too with it, and in the end you don't finish. So I see a lot of people do this, not just you. You're just fast. So now this gives me a good example to hold you up in front of the class. So we're doing one of these right now, right? Then the grand scheme of things, let the passes happen if they happen. If you fuck up and the guy gets a run on you, just let them get the run and defend somewhere else. Like you need to get in the habit of that, right? Because there's a lot of strategic choices you can make even here. Like if someone gets a run on me like this, the first thing I'm trying to do is think about where I want to apply pressure. Right? You like hold them down in the corner a little bit. You let them make it through so they're offline. You get on the throttle really late so that you're right behind him and you're pushing him out of the corner. There's a bunch of fucking traffic up there. Right? So he's about to have a panic attack. And so I'm going to be rushing him into that traffic as much as we can. Like you wished that I was leading. You're going to regret passing me here. You wanted me to open all these doors. Now you have to fucking open the doors. Right? So there's a huge strategic opportunity up here that it just went begging. Because a bunch of slow-ass people are up there. So
I would say even that is pretty like far thinking and advanced. So and this is not necessarily about like winning the race, whatever. This is more about like how do you win championships? Is that you need to get all the points you can. If I'm here, I'm like, oh man, I fucked up that exit. That sucks. I'm gonna lose the position. Well, so fucking what? I still need to get all the points I can. If it means finishing one place lower, that's still like better than not finishing or finishing in P20 because I broke the car. And that's how you win championships.
And that
Take the
goes,
points you can.
Yes, and that goes into a direction of what Davin was talking, I believe, last week as well. One of the things is taking it a little bit more serious. I know it's just rookies. I know there's no points or anything like that. But for example, if I was racing in real life, I would never do something like that.
And also, everybody would hate you, right? Like if the two of us are going up for
everyone
a job,
hates me already, so I need to keep that.
But let's think about it for real, right? If the two of us are going up for a job, first of all, hey Gustavo, I beat you. My car got to the end, so I get to brag about that. Second of all, my car's not broken. His car's broken. So Gustavo is now expensive and behind me. Boo. Right? Good qualifier, but he wrecks his shit. You don't want to be that guy, right? Because that's just not, you're not going to get to the end. If you want to go to more competitive leagues or run our Tuesday class or run, our SRA or anywhere else, right? Finishing races is job one, right? Do not break your fucking car. Finish the races. If you can do those two things, then everything else is just skills development over time. But if you're breaking your car, you're going to have a bad time. Right?
Oh, yes.
So
Not only are you gonna have a bad time in that you're not finishing and you're last place in championship and whatever, but also you're gonna have bad like you're gonna feel bad.
Yeah.
You're not gonna
I'm
feel
totally
that much
not ready
bad
to
for
vote.
losing in the place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So this
But,
is
but I think the kind of bigger concept is being able to accept that, okay, I fucked up. I'm going to lose the position and just go like, okay, but that's not the end of the world. There is still race left. I don't need to, like, not every fight needs to be tooth and nail.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is situational.
Sometimes you can go like, okay, I screwed up. I'll take it and I'll just work with this. I can still work with this, right? There's still race to go. Maybe I can make something happen.
I'll give you a quick example and then we'll move on. So like the first race I had on Tuesday, I was racing somebody and we were just both really aggressive with each other. In the back of my mind, I was like, I could let him have this space and then he could go fuck around with someone ahead of me and then I don't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. And I didn't, right? Because I just felt like I was just being driven in a disrespectful way. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to fuck him over because I just don't feel like dealing with it right now, right? But it made my race unnecessarily hard. Like unnecessarily hard, way too much fucking work. And we ended up finishing probably farther behind than we would have if I had just been like, hey, like he's being a dick. I'm just going to let him go. And hopefully he'll fuck someone else up rather than me. Right. I don't need him hitting my car. I need him hitting other people's cars. So then come this race on Tuesday, I got caught by somebody who had a penalty. And I said, you know what? I'm going to strategically let that person go and catch the guys in front of me to slow them down because I'm not catching them. Right. We're just holding the same positions over and over again, but the guy behind me is arguably faster than me for sure, like undeniably. So I said, let him go. I let him go in a slow space and let him chase the cars in front of me so that I don't have to do any work. All I have to do is just kind of keep up with him. And then I got the spot back on the last lap because they all came together. So it was a good investment of my time, right? I didn't lose any time to the cars behind me and I didn't have any stress to the car ahead of me because the car ahead of me was a little bit faster. So it worked out nicely rather than just defending like a crazy person for 45 minutes and then just being completely fucking wasted. I could just sit there and basically just do laps. Way easier. All right, Larry. Next.
I think it was Dirty Harry who said a man's got to understand his limitations.
Yeah. Truth. Well, and also like big picture thinking saves your races. It's less stressful. You learn more. You give yourself an opportunity for things that are coming up front. Like a lot of folks are so desperate in the and Gustavo, I'm not saying this for you. I'm just saying in general, right? A lot of people can be so desperate over just keeping that position. They're not confident in their ability to get the position back later. Right? The reason they panic is they're like, oh my God, if he takes it from me, I'll never get third again. And it's like, no, dude, you've got a whole race. I mean, he could fuck up. Things could happen in front. Like, shit, man, you qualified ahead of him. You've been ahead of him for most of the race. So you're as quick as this guy, or give or take. It's fine. Just battle. Just drive your fucking car. Right?
And there's always another race too.
Yeah, exactly. There's also another race. Exactly. Right? So I think that's an important skill for folks to kind of develop over time because it I've had 2 races in rookies this season where I've gotten screwed and I know that I was going to move forward because other people are going to wreck their cars. There's no way I should be able to make as many spaces up in the races as I do sometimes, but you guys give the spaces back. That's silly. You qualified ahead of me. You should stay ahead of me. Don't give them back. Right? Because like, that's the point. You're supposed to keep going forward. Go forward. Finish fucking races, man. All right, next.
Car 3, 3129, and I appreciate everybody seeing the message I just dropped. If you haven't seen it, it's in the House of Practice chat.
What did you do?
The timestamp might be a little bit early, but just let it play out.
Bye, Eric.
Excellent way to handle it.
Good save, though.
Can you go back because I think he fucked up before this even happened, really. Yeah.
That's
So,
the perfect storm.
Shout out to second and third place for letting me keep the lead after this.
I mean, they probably had to do stuff to avoid as well.
Let's see.
Gave me a heart attack coming up the hill.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's scary.
You
don't know what the low cars are doing.
But Joseph, props for being smart enough to gather everything back up, and just like that little tap on the brakes is a sign of intelligence, right? Because a lot of people
I've
are
had
just
too many bad races here, so
yeah, that was smart.
avoid that.
That was really smart. Like I was like, please cover the brake when you get there, and boop. Thank you. Yeah, that's good. Alrighty, next.
Car 6.
Okay.
2731. It has to do with you and a back marker.
Oh, cool.
And then the back marker rejoins, and somebody made contact with him. It was Brendan.
Oh, okay.
Should he have backed out? Or was
We
it
lost a
an
lot of
unsafe
time here.
rejoin?
Okay. I remember this. Yeah, because he was right with me, and then all of a sudden he really wasn't. Yeah.
What the stuff Backmarker doing? What the?
Yeah.
Willie, he just rejoined with us recently tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this earlier on.
When these guys are on the exit of the corner, it looks like the outside is open, the backmarker is rejoining on the left, but then for some reason he cuts over to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And then starts racing.
Yeah, that's the frustrating part, right? I get it, he's new, so I'm not banging on specifically on him. He's also not the only person I see do this, right? Honestly, he did everything well after this happened, right? Goes off the road, stays on the inside of the track, that's great. Enters parallel rather than perpendicular. Probably could have been a little more left, but whatever, it is what it is. But now
I
here,
think it's fine. Like, there is space on the outside,
right?
So it's fine.
But here, now we're drag racing, and you're in 27th.
But his tires are really dirty from being in the gravel and the grass.
Right, that too, right? So there's that. But also, you're in 27th, I'm in 7th. This guy in 6th just passed you. These two cars are not in a race together. The McLaren and the Lexus are in a race together. This Lexus is in a race with somebody way, way far away. So drag racing this car is not karmically going to help, right? So, Brendan, if we were in the same spot, I would have done the same thing. Because I would have been like, hey, I'm trying to go. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I guess at the time, like, the outside seemed open. I thought we'd race down here and I'd have the inside, I guess.
Yep.
But then in hindsight, when the door closed, I thought, well, geez, I guess maybe I should have given it some room there.
No. Don't even go there. Like, roll it to, like, a reasonable point on the exit. Here's good. So, at this point, you should be flat out. You're like, right, this guy on my left went off something, rejoin, left face off, right, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. He's back marker. You're flat.
Yep.
The outside is open. You take the racing line. There's no reason why, you should have been flat already a while ago because that guy is on the left. He's nowhere near the racing line. There's no reason why you should expect him to go on the racing line.
Agree. 100%. Honestly, when it happened, I was like, well, I'm actually the one that's slow because him and I touched in the corner before. So if you get a bit of a run, you should be with me. And so I was expecting you to be right behind me, just pushing me out of the thing. And so I was surprised when there was a bit of gap there. So when we were going down this little short shoot, I was like, okay, so then the Lexus on the left will lift a little and then Brandon will be right behind me and he'll be maybe a second behind. Like, it is what it is. But yet we're battling each other going into the next two corners. And all of a sudden you were 3.8 behind. And I was like, bye. Right? Like, we were having a fun time and now I'm gone. So this is just a experience thing, right? Like, it's, we're digging on it because it's a really good example of why you shouldn't race cars that are on different laps than you. But, it is also one of those things that if you can, and I especially because, Will, you come from flight sim, so I know you're used to using vehicles with lots of displays and information. So this is really where using like your MFD and other pieces of data will be really, really helpful for you in the future because there's a lot of information around you that's telling you if you're in the same lap battle with the other cars around you. So that'll help with decision making, just kind of in future altercations, so that you're not drag racing cars. Because like you and I came together later in the race because you like missed the apex by so much. There was just like no way I could not go. And then once you got in my blind spot, I was like, okay. We've dealt with each other twice or three times this way. The race is almost over. I'm being chased for 5th place. I'm not being nice anymore. right? And you don't want to be put in that position, right? You want to be the sort of person like Fagan, for example, that whenever I catch him, he's normally so good with traffic, I give him all the grace in the world. I'm just like, man, he's trying, right? Versus where right now, for example, Cody, Will, a few other folks, when the battles are thick and fast, I don't got time. Like, I will give you the amount of space that you are legally allowed, and then if you can't drive or figure it out, I will figure it out later. I don't want to put you in those situations, and other people will do the same thing, and it becomes less fun. So don't be that guy.
So
Fagan, what was your question for the end of the race too?
Oh, I had asked it lower in the lower chats about a shoulder issue that I ended up
Okay,
having.
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
So just as a PSA, in case somebody doesn't know, because there's a lot of new guys here. In the MFD, if you bind a button to change the MFD pages, one of the pages gives you the relative difference to other cars around you, like how many seconds you're behind or in front of the cars around you. The colors tell you if the cars are on the same lap. Anyone whose name is in blue is going either a lap down already or going a lap down if you're catching them. Or maybe more than one lap, but same difference. Anyone who's in white is on same lap with you, and anyone who is in orange is either already a lap up or going a lap up if they are just catching you.
So that's really helpful data because especially when there are battles happening, like you don't want to get run over because there's a race happening. You're just not happening to be in it. So that's a thing. Just, when you're doing in House of Practice and other places or in other races, just kind of be mindful of the MFD and get used to cars catching you and reading them and and it'll save you a lot of heartache, especially when you're getting your feet underneath you, right? Like, I get it. You're new, second race, slow, totally understand.
Also, if you're still a bit new, don't stare at the MFD all the time. Check it once every lap on the main straight, because nobody's gonna catch you that quickly. Like, nobody's gonna come from 25 seconds behind in one lap. That would be very unlikely. Most of the time, if you check what's behind you once per lap, you know if anybody's gonna be coming by soon. Because the difference is not that big, hopefully at least.
Yeah, I don't specifically remember that incident among the many hundreds that happened in the last 90 minutes.
Sure.
But I think what happened there was I came off the track, and I had done that in the very brief practice beforehand, and Larry saw it and he was like, don't go back on, go around the corner and then go back on. So I kind of did that. Didn't go as far as I maybe could have, like you said. But I think what was going through my head at that point, I suspect, was trying to get back on the racing line where people are going to expect me to be.
Right.
Yes,
Okay.
But
yeah, in the replay, it's abundantly clear that was not the time for that. But I think that's
so
the decision that I made.
Let me explain. So yes, people expect you to be on the racing line, but technically speaking, the racing line is on the left side on the straight. Like, normally you would, as soon as you get away from this corner, like if you look at what I'm guessing, Davin is going to the left immediately, like from where he is right now, because that's what people normally do. If you would go off where you did, most people would expect you to just stay on the left because there's no reason for you to go to the right. Like, the only reason you go to the right on the exit of the corner is because you're carrying so much speed that you cannot immediately get to the left, right?
But it makes sense.
So
I get kind of where he's starting from. Like, oh shit, I'm being lapped. I should get on the race line because that's what I've been told to do. Get it. The next step is kind of contextual, like context clues of who's around me. Can I possibly interfere with them? Will they have to swerve to now avoid me? Kind of things like that. And then get on the racing line. So like you're on the right way. Just one step after.
Yeah, I think maybe put in a slightly different way. If you're already off the line for some reason, especially if you're on the side where the line is going next, like if you're on the left, the line is on the right, but it's gonna go left anyway. Don't just cut over the track to the side of the line, because like you're already off, and just like trying to get immediately back on the line is not going to help anyone, because I mean, if anytime you cross over the track really hard, it's kind of dangerous. So just like if it's gonna be on the left anyway, just stay on the left. You'll be on the line in like 1 second anyway, right?
So I'm interpreting this more as like it's less so be on the racing line if you're a lap down, but more so just be predictable for the people getting around you. It doesn't.
Well, and it goes
racing line
together.
itself.
It goes together.
The reason we tell you to be on the racing line is because that's the most predictable place for you to be. As long as you are fully in control and doing normal laps. As soon as you go off track, just do whatever is the most predictable way to rejoin.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But if you're just like driving normally, the most predictable thing for you to do is to be on the racing line. That's where I expect you to be. But as soon as you are off, the most predictable thing depends on the context. Like in here, for example, the most predictable thing would have been to hang really tight to the left side, because you are already on the left and the line is going to be on the left. So any kind of movement is unnecessary. You're going to reach the line very quickly by doing nothing.
And then the last thing I would add is just trying not to drag race the cars around you too, right? Because even if you had done what you had done and just lifted, then Brendan would have just driven right by you, and probably we wouldn't even be talking about this. So being aware of the positioning of the cars around you will help you greatly. Because even if you said, "Hey, I'm going to go right back to the racing line, like that's just what I'm going to do," but I'm going to wait for this car to go by, then we would have been like, "Oh, hey, thanks, man," right? Where in this particular case, like I know for a second he's going, "Why am I racing this dude? What is happening?" Right? Because we don't want to lose any more time. The opponent is getting away. I'm getting away, and so I don't want to wait too long. But I also don't want to wreck my car. So it makes it complicated.
Yeah, this race was also sort of a microcosm for what racing is, which is the high highs and the low lows. There was a lot more lows than highs.
Amen, man. No.
So like that was also probably during a period at which, especially immediately after driving off track for no particular reason, that like my decision-making paradigm was affected by frustration at that point.
Hey, man.
So what you were saying is you're yelling out loud.
Yeah. Right.
I think here's a good moment for a small soapbox from me. So the ability to reset after a mistake is incredibly useful. Like there's absolutely nothing you gain by being distracted by your own mistakes, somebody else's mistakes, penalties, any of that bullshit. Like thinking about it after it happened is not gonna help you in any way whatsoever. The only thing that I will give you is if you go like, okay, I brake too late, I need to brake earlier. That much you can do. Anything past that point, anything that's like, fucking sucks, blah, 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 it's not going to help you. You have to put it away.
Yeah. I think the
Can
one
only make it worse.
The one caveat I will say
I probably went through... Sorry.
No, Will, go ahead.
I probably went through the put that mistake away and don't focus on it thing about 100 times.
Yeah.
In that race.
Yeah. No, for sure. The one thing that will come with experience too sometimes is using how to use like just a small percent of that energy to refocus your attention. Because, sometimes like I get screwed somewhere in a race, someone runs into me, I get pushed off the road, I make a mistake, whatever. And I say, "Okay, Davin, that's your one mistake. You're not doing that again." And that's my slap in the hand. I took 2 seconds to sulk about it before the next turn, and then we're back to work, right? But I don't gripe about it for super, super long. And if I'm taking time to think about that sort of stuff, that's time I'm not using to get the maximum performance out of my car. So I'm gonna just go slower. So sometimes I will put it into the back of my mind for later. Like I'm sure people have gotten the random DM from me right after the end of the race, which is just right, because I put it in the Pandora's box for 50 minutes, and as soon as the race is over, I will blow up about it then. All right, Larry.
But especially your own mistakes, you can't dwell on them. Like the only thing you should do is go like, okay, I fucked up. I'm not gonna do that again. I'll brake early. I don't care if my lap time goes down by half a second, but I'm not gonna do that fuck up again. I'll back up a lot, and then I'll push a little bit harder when I figure out like what I'm doing. But That's all you get. Like, don't be like, oh, I'm so bad, yeah, blah blah blah, because that's not gonna help you.
Okay, so I know we've got a lot left, and we're probably not going to get through them all. I'm going to ask two things. There's two things I want to talk about. So the first one, if we don't cover yours in the next couple of minutes, and you really, 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 really want us to cover it, throw it into coaching discussion, and we'll go through them there. Right. So if it's super important to you, happy to do that on Friday over the weekend, etc. So I'm going to cut some of them short. I do want to take a little bit of time to talk about a good thing that happened in the race and why it's important. Mostly for Zach's benefit. Zach, are you still here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was the importance of like appropriate defending and how you can use defending to manage the car behind you for a very, very long period of time. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do, because I'm not going to play through it, it's going to take a very long time, is basically from when we get out of the pits, take some time to watch my battle with Zach from here to pretty much the second to the last lap. Because I would,
second to last.
Yeah, because I would adjust my lines in different places. I would adjust my speeds in different places. Zach, I told you I would tell you what the trick was to beating me next time.
Give me the cheat code.
Yeah, so Zach, what you do right now is a trait called telegraphing, which means that you move to position super early before the corner actually appears, which gives me enough time to position my car to counter you. So all I'm doing is countering wherever you put your car. And as a lead car, I can only move one time. So if you get really eager and like get right on my bumper and then just pop over to the left, all I have to do is put my car in the middle of the road. And I've now defended you and managed my speed a little bit. And I've now defended you. You gave me a long amount of time to be like, I'm going to put my car here. And I'd go, okay, well then I'll put my car over there to counter that. I'm going to put my car over here. I'm going to put it over there, right? That's why you want to sometimes wait and attack after several laps. Like, observe me. Watch me. See where I'm making mistakes. Like, I was fucking up turn 11 like it was going out of style. My car wouldn't turn in one for shit. I had a terrible setup today, and it would not turn.
I was gonna ask if you had fucked tires or something.
My car would not turn.
I caught you every time.
I kept fucking up in one on the entry just the way I was driving it. Right?
He's just allergic to the Apex in T1.
Yeah, dude. I couldn't get it down. I couldn't get it down there. To save my brain. Yeah, right. It took me a little while to kind of figure it out because after a while I was like, oh my god, I'm going in too late, right? But that's a weak area, right? You're battling me. You found a weakness. How do you exploit that weakness? Don't give me time to bound you up, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I want to say to that is that you can also use this, like, so I might show it later if people want to see it. But so I kind of sold this dummy in a league race recently where I kept showing my nose and then backing out for like 5 laps, and the guy in front got this idea that I'm gonna do it, like I'm not actually gonna go for the move. And then when I actually went for the move, he was not defending at all because he was like completely sold on the idea that I'm just showing my nose and not actually doing anything. So you can also use it, like every time you do something, the guy in front is gonna read it, and he's gonna, if you reinforce the idea, like if you keep doing the thing, he'll think you're gonna do the same thing. Maybe. You never know, really, because I mean humans are complicated. But
yeah,
like if you actually show your nose and try to make a move every single lap, it's gonna reinforce the idea that you're gonna try that very hard.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna work. Like it's gonna stop working at some point, definitely. Like it's absolutely never gonna work if you just keep doing the same thing. So you need to mix it up a little bit. You need to kind of play this 5D chess or whatever they call it these days, the cool kids, where you're trying to make the guy in front think you're gonna do something, and then you actually do something else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
keep going.
For I guess the first few laps, I was just kind of pacing you a little bit, just seeing like how close am I going to be. This because I'm pretty new, so I still don't really know what your pace is like.
Sure.
And then I was noticing there were specific corners where I knew I had a better time, but what I think I definitely need practice in, because this is all very new, is what is a move I can make and what isn't, because there were times where I was like, I could break later here and like take space, but I also don't want to be the guy who ends up punting you off of the track. Because that was my first concern, was not hitting you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm with you. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is this is why having a battle buddy in house of practice is so vital, right? I have practice battles with people all the time, right? So that you gain the experience of like, where can I pass? Where can't I pass? Like, let's fuck it up and see what happens. Let's talk about it, right? It really is helpful. I see a lot of folks in Hop who just do fast lap times. Well, okay. Let me be real about it. I see a lot of you in Hop doing not so fast lap times and then sitting by yourself and then doing absolutely fucking nothing. That's actually what I see, right? Rather than working with the other drivers around you to figure out how to race better, you just kind of do 3/4 of a lap and then come into the pits. Or you do 35 laps all alone and don't look back over your replays. The really good drivers are not doing that. The really good drivers are talking to each other. We're either in social channel or in a coaching room or in a DM. Like like Randy Gross and I, we have little breakdowns of every single battle we have. We do a little battle, we'll race for 15 laps, and then I'll be typing up to him like, you got too much wheel spin here. He's like, you overspeed here. You missed the apex there. Because it helps us, right? Because I'm not perfect. He's not perfect. He'd be like, you're fast here. Don't change anything. You're fucking up here. I'm killing you there. That's good to know, right? That's how you get better. And then when you're in situations like these, when you know that you've got a more novice opponent, they start to give away the game really early. And so they keep doing the same moves over and over and over and over and over again, right? I kept checking up so much in 11, I was surprised you just didn't try a different line. You kept just trying to slide up the inside of me. And I was like, well, I'm just going to slow down and that's just going to stop you. So, okay. And then I would slow my exit out into 12 and sit in the middle of the road because it'll stop you. And I'm like, what you need to do in situations like that, especially if the car in front is slower, back up and use momentum to blow by me. Take away all my tools. Right.
I was kind of thinking about that because there were some times where I think it was I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure like 8 and 9 just from the top of the hill going by it. I constantly got like onto your bumper at the end of those, but that's not a passing zone. And then we got to a turn where we were pretty even.
Okay, so here's another kind of rule of thumb kind of thing. If you are constantly catching the car in front just after the apex, and every single time you have to lift a little bit because you're catching him and you can't run him over and there's no way you can do anything about it, you need to gap a little bit further behind and carry your own speed through the corner. Because so that's the thing. Davin really loves to park on the apex. He really loves to park on the apex. Every time we play around, which isn't very often these days, unfortunately, but when we do, he's always parking on the apex. And I'll take a couple of laps to figure out the correct distance, and then I'll just blow by him on the exit because he's still parking on the apex when I'm dropping far enough behind that I can carry my own speed through the corner.
Exactly. That's how you get me, right? I'm moving slow on purpose because you're letting me slow you down to my speed. You don't want to be going to my speed. You want to be going faster than me, right? So
it's pretty much like the way I'm thinking about it is, I don't know why, but I'm like almost visualizing like a rubber band where like as soon as I'm like getting my ideal speed, I can like, I guess, kind of slingshot past after a turn.
Exactly.
But if I'm catching up at like the middle of a turn, there's no point.
If you are faster, like significantly faster than someone, you always get this rubber band effect. You have to time it. That's the trick. Like you want to time the rubber band effect so that you are going very fast in a place where the other guy cannot block you.
Right.
Like if you are catching him on the apex, you can do nothing with it. But if you catch him right on the exit of the corner, like right at the end of this where we are looking right now, like on the straight, he can't do anything. Like he can go defensive, but you're definitely gonna get the long side.
Right.
Yeah,
and if you can get the long side, maybe I mean it's not guaranteed obviously, but at least you can try.
But that's where you want to plan ahead, right? Because as the lead car, I can only move once. So if you get a really strong run from really far back and start taking a run at me, I have two choices. I either sit on the racing line and get passed immediately, which is going to suck, or you force me to go defensive to some degree, depending on how severe I want to go. If I go really far in, I can't come back. So I've got to decide how bold do I think you're going to be. If I think you're going to puss out, I'll just sit kind of halfway in the middle of the road. If I think you're going to go fucking crazy, I'll go down to the bottom. But once I'm at the bottom, I can't come back. Right? I am now.
That makes sense.
I'm stuck there now. Right? The only thing I can do is drive slowly around the apex and stop you from slingshotting into me. That's my only tool until we get to the next corner. But I'm massively handicapped. So you want to
that makes sense.
Or
so
you,
like I guess Go ahead.
Or you want to put me in a position like this. And the reason why I pulled up this lap particularly is like there is a slow moving car in front of me. You already know you're faster.
I was trying to use those so much. I was looking at the map constantly being like, all right, when are we going to catch this car? And how can I try to force Davin to be like stuck?
Yeah, but see,
just get around
I have experience with that. So I did the opposite to you. I slowed down and got you as close to me as possible so that when we got to the back marker car, it either interfered with you or parked you so that I had a little bit of free time. Right. And so it's called throwing cars back at the car behind. So in those cases, you want to get up on me and be aggressive with me so that I don't have time to do that sort of shit to you.
Yeah. No,
Right?
that makes sense. So I guess my big takeaway from this is like, one, I need more battle practice, which I'm constantly in HOP trying to do that or getting good times. But then two is figuring out the timing to actually be able to pass people. I'm pretty sure I have faster pace then.
Yeah, yeah. And even if it's just a temporary thing, right? Because we don't know why. Either driver's fucking up, setup's not working, tires aren't working, too much fuel. Who fucking cares? I'm faster than him at this period in time. I need to use it while I've got it, right? So let's find a way to maximize that where we can, and then we'll deal with the rest of the race after, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right.
like yeah, especially, and the only reason I want to bring this up is because a lot of folks who are new to battling don't realize there are an infinite number of lines. So what happens is that they only go to the racing line and they only turn in from the racing line. And there's no rule in the rule book that says that I have to take the optimal line every single time. There's no rule that also says I have to go through every single corner at maximum speed all the time. But I'm also taking a opportunity cost by doing that. Right?
Yeah.
And so you have to be willing to not only be able to observe and notice those things, but know how to adapt. And for me specifically, if I know I can't get away from you, because I couldn't get away from you, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to disrupt you and frustrate you to the point that you start making more and more mistakes so that your mistakes yield more than the time I can't get from driving away.
Yeah.
Right? It's a stalling tactic. I'm just stalling. Right? But as you get more battle practice, you'll realize you'll be like, oh, Dad's fucking with me. Okay. We're gonna back off for a little while. We're gonna follow him for a little bit. We're gonna run his ass over. Right?
Yeah.
And then
There
move
is
on.
also the fact that overtaking in general in a GT3 car is pretty hard. Like, you might be half a second faster, but you just cannot overtake, period. It's just not possible. Some tracks, like this one, for example, you might be almost a full second faster and you just cannot overtake. And the guy might not even have to, like, actively defend. He just needs to drive the normal line because there's almost nowhere where you can do anything about it anyway.
Right. Yep.
I was gonna say it almost felt like you needed 2 seconds on this track.
Well, remember earlier when I said, hey, the delta needs to be pretty big before you can blow by cars? Like,
so the thing is, on this track with these rules, the undercut is how you overtake if the car in front is significantly slower.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a couple of you really screwed up the pit strat. Like, Eric, I'm looking at you. Like, I don't know why you stayed out so long. You should have covered immediately when Thompson pitted. Like, the next lap, immediately pit. Because what you are trying to do with the undercut is that with fresh tires, and hopefully you plan it so that you come out with no traffic, you're gonna lap faster. So now the other car, when he pits, he's gonna be behind you on track after the pit stop because he's been lapping, let's say 2-3 tenths slower for 5 laps. That's enough for you to jump him. And it doesn't matter that you will have worse tires by the end because how do you overtake on this track?
right. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I seriously fucked up because I know like when I pitted and when I came out, I was down like almost 3 or 4 positions, and I was like, how did that even happen?
Well, so it's funny. You gave me the tip to do it, right? Because I got entangled with Cody early on, right? And then all of a sudden I saw you, and I was like, Zach was up the road. What the fuck happened there? And then all of a sudden you came out with Cody, and I said, I am not doing that again. I'm going with Zach. Because at least then you and I are in sequence together. And so then I pit with you. And then I happened to jump you coming out of the pits, just barely, but I needed to get in front of you, right? But I thought about the sequencing. There's some guys out here who just run long for no reason. They don't know why they're doing it. They don't care how much time they're losing on the track. They're just running long. And I swear it's probably because they've watched Sergio Perez do it 1,000 times. and they think that the reason that cars quote unquote run long is just being on the track for a long time. I mean, that's some of it, but there's some math involved too. And if you're losing a lot of time because of cars and traffic and stuff, it doesn't matter that you stayed out so long. You gave up all that time being out on the racetrack, right? So there are a couple people who like go long. They don't know what going long means. Going long might be like 2 laps, 3 laps, maybe, if there's nothing in front of you and I can just run and run and run and run and run, right? But if there's traffic, I'm not going long. I'm just driving slowly on the racing surface. So pit, right? Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks for going over that. I had tons of fun doing that.
It was a lot of fun, man. And you drove really great. Like, you drove really great. Like, you didn't run me over. You didn't run into the back of me, right? You adjusted really well. Like, you kept pace with me, right? Even when I made mistakes, you didn't just, like, try to drive into my door as I was sliding. So that's one of the reasons I want to bring it up. Like you drove really good. Yeah, but the thing is then it ruins both of your things, right? If I still need to make the turn and I still need space. So if you just smash into me when I'm turning midway, you fucked yourself. Right? You want me to if I'm gonna die, let me die alone. Let me fall off the road all alone where I'm just alone and dead, and then you can just like when Mans went off the road. He's all alone by himself. Nothing he can do about it. Right? You don't want to try to influence me. Because the other thing is also karma will come back, right? Run me off the road, see what happens. Right? Right? Run into my door. See if I give you room the next time. It won't be as much fun. Right? You don't want that. You want a fun battle. You want to be friends. You don't want to be like, well, Zach's a dick, so I'm just going to squeeze the shit out of him now. Nah. That's no fun. That's no fun.
Yeah. But I'm going to head out. Thanks for a good race, everybody. Have a good night, and I will probably see you all this weekend.
Before you head out there, Zach, it's Nick here. If you want to ever just like run laps together, just ping me. I'm down to race with you.
Absolutely. No, that sounds great. I definitely want to stray away from just running as fast of a lap as I can. Like once I learn a track, I want to practice keeping pace with cars around me and battling.
Yep.
So
that's where the race part. That's where the race part comes in. So yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and that's one thing I seriously need to improve on. So like I said, ping me whenever you're on. If I'm on, I'll join. No problem.
Proud of you, both.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's what I like to hear.
Sounds good.
Also, remember to put yourself in the social channel. Because a lot of times people will pop into Discord and they don't see anybody in the social channel, and they'll just bug off and go do something else.
Yeah. If I really want
to find my crew, it's difficult.
Yeah. Right. So like I sit in social or I sit in coaching room 1, and it's just like, hey, I'm doing laps. If you want to come hang out with me, come do laps. Right. You'll know if I'm heads down in something because I'll be sitting deafened. Right. But still, it's still like, hey, come battle with me or whatever. I'm just focused on something and I don't want to talk in that very minute. But shit, it does kind of frustrate me when I come on Hop and I see 15 people on Hop and no one in social, because I'm like, how the fuck was I supposed to know? I had no idea where you guys were. All right, so. Alrighty.
See you guys later.
I promise to show something if you guys wanna see whoever is staying.
Sure. It's all you. It's all you if you want it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna show a couple of previous laps for context before I show the actual overtake. So this is I know I'm faster